Okay, so here's the thing. I'm trying something new. I want to make content, right? Like I want to see where this goes because I have so much to share. And some of it is machine intelligence and the Turnsig architecture that I've been working with and that I created, but a lot of it is also software. My Notaralis virtual mainframe system. I have a lot. And I've spent almost a year working nonstop, 16-hour days, bouncing between my day job and my company. And they're very interconnected now, but early on they really weren't. Uh, so hold on, this thing's new. I gotta get. Let's figure this out. We're gonna try with that. So, but what I'm trying to say is that I have done an unbelievable amount of work in the past 8 to 10 months, but nearly a year, realistically. Um, and if you don't know me, I work for a crisis call center. That's like 988-211 crisis line. You know the drill. As a software developer, and I've been doing that for about 3, maybe 4 years now, but I tend to lose track. So it's very exciting that some of my research and development actually does get to go into the call center. Not a lot of it yet, but the other end of it, the technology that powers the server, most certainly does. Some of it's transcription and stuff like that, but I'm getting off track because last night I had an epiphany. I have been chasing what I call the sapien circuit. And what that is the human brain. Homo sapiens, everything's a circuit. So, sapien circuit. But what the core crux of the system is I've only ever been able to reproduce visual, audio, and a few more. But, like, I can't remember all the names. I'm still waking up. You have the Wernicke, the Broca, Arcuate facility. All. Look, it's complex. But I have built 26 iterations of this system. I call it the Astromind Initiative because LLMs can't go into space. So Astromind, something that can withstand being on a rover, for example. That's one of my biggest things. Like, I want to see my Astrominds piloting a rover one day. Bare minimum energy requirements, right? Yeah. And I'll get into that. I have to. It's going to take a lot of videos to explain all of this because it really has just been a crazy year. But the key point is, I have a decent idea. And I had continuously overlooked the most important possible thing you ever could take into account. The lab mouse. One of the most researched, studied, mapped, charted brains in human history. 300,000 years old, but even then, before that, there were dinosaurs. But the concept of a brain is a reused idea for millions of years. And if we can't fully pin down the sapien circuit, then I can pin down what do you call a mouse? I'm not gonna dip into that, but the mammalian circuit, a default mode network, the limbic system, the frontal cortex. I don't know what a mouse has. I really haven't looked into it yet, but I do know, based on my research last night, that it'll work because the Allen Institute, I think that's what it's called, have the most detailed atlas of any brain. I mean, sure, they recreated the flight, but here's the catch, at least with my tech. Turnsigs do a 1 to 100 roughly estimated compression. That means, to put simply, you don't need every single neuron to get behavior. I mean, look, you have LLMs and they're statistical, right? You have billions of parameters. It doesn't mean shit to me. But here's the point. Intelligence can take any form. Look, consciousness overplayed. Truth be told, every animal's conscious, but to their maximal degree. And even then, you got 50% of humanity that is not conscious by any means. All right, they live their lives in little routines. You know them. We call them NPCs. And they're very real, and I hate to say that, but the core crux of the neuroscience behind what we call NPCs are just people that are living in a small routine who haven't gone through ego death and blibbity blibbity blah blah, right? I mean, they just don't simply push themselves in a degree that allows them to participate in the greater world around them. They don't have a rich inner world. Personally, I thought that was people who didn't have inner voices. And that was put to the test recently. Found out I was wrong. That's fair. I'm a scientist. It's all theoretical until it's not. But I prefer cognitive architecture. You know, LLMs. I can redo my rant that I posted online before, but the core crux of it is an LLM literally can never be a brain. It's just that simple. No matter. If you go through and you look at SOAR and you look at all the different experiments over decades of neuroscience and cognitive architecture, you'll find that LLMs just, you train them, you freeze them, that's it. There's no, it's I don't know how to explain it. Mine, 50 regions making up the frontal cortex, strategy, planning, goals, reward, all of it, right? Something a mouse, I can reproduce a mouse easily. It's going to take time, yes, and that's what I'm doing this devlog about. But an LLM can't, because an LLM is a matrix math. It requires a GPU, and you can put it on a CPU, but it's not going to be very fast because matrix multiplication was always the wrong choice. Simply put, as I said in my last video, capitalism, I'm not an anti-capitalism, but capitalism always enforces the wrong decisions to be cemented, simply because that's where the money wins. You know, think about binary versus ternary. My system is very heavily on ternary and binary as a hybrid. For the turn-sig digital particle, useless in one, but relatively powerful in colonies of even 100. And I'll get into all of that. You know, I have so much to unpack. It is unbelievable. I have not talked to anybody really in a while. I did one, and she loved it until she didn't, because I wouldn't shut the fuck up. So you can talk people away. I learned that hard lesson. But cognitive architecture, man. If there was ever going to be a right choice for intelligence, LLMs can have AI as a term. I don't care anymore. But what I won't do is allow the whole thing to be muddied. I simply won't. Because, as I said before, R2-D2, C-3PO, sci-fi made promises that I'm going to keep. Alright, you don't get droids, you don't get automatons, you don't get all these things from LLMs. LLMs are the vacuum tube era of the greater grand scale of AI, simply put. And if anyone has the transistor, it's me. Simply put, a six latch gated mechanism that has in place learning and conductivity, and it is a beautiful thing. I call it atomic computing, and yes, I invented this. And basically, everything is a tiny little lambda, and as signals flow through the system, they cascade. And some of you might be familiar with what's called a rostrocausal cascade. These things are important. The brain is a very powerful machine, but everyone keeps building it wrong, including me, 25 times. I'm now on 26. Astromine V26, codename Rodin, aka the person who made The Thinker. I really love that. Also, I'm a Bioshock fan, and I spent my entire childhood looking at The Thinker from Bioshock 2 Minerva's Den DLC, and let me tell you, I promised myself I would build it. But the other point of today was, like someone said, Jarvis is an LLM, and I'll be damned if you insult my intelligence by calling Jarvis an LLM. It's not.